All right, so today we're cracking open one of the ancient world's biggest cold cases. We're diving deep into a truly enigmatic religion, the Mithraic mysteries. So what if I told you that one of the Roman Empire's most popular religions just vanished? I mean, a faith that swept across the map, from Britain all the way to Syria, attracting soldiers, merchants, everyone. And then, poof, it's gone. So completely that it's become a genuine historical cold case. All we have left are these super cryptic clues, hundreds of mysterious underground temples, all of them built around this one singular image that they were completely obsessed with. And I'm not talking about some small fringe group. Archaeologists have found over 420 of these sites. I mean, think about that. This was a huge deal, a major player in the religious world of the empire. But here's the kicker. The biggest clue is actually what's missing. We have found not one single sacred text written by a follower. Not one. It's like finding hundreds of churches, but zero Bibles. So how on earth do you solve a mystery when you have no written testimony from the people involved? Well, you start with the only real piece of evidence you have, that central image, the one they put in every single temple, no exceptions. Right, so this scene has a fancy name, the Tauroctony. It basically just means bull slain. But listen, this is way more than just a piece of art. This was the secret. The whole key to cracking this thing is figuring out what's going on in this one image. Okay, let's break down the scene of the crime. Every single detail here is intentional. Nothing is random. You've got the young god, Mithras, the bull, of course, but then look closer. There's a dog and a snake drinking the blood, a scorpion attacking the bull's genitals, a raven watching from above, and these two guys with torches. I mean, every single figure is a suspect in our historical whodunit. All right, to really get this, we've got to go where they went. We need to step inside their secret sanctuaries, these places called Mithraea. And we actually have this incredible quote from the philosopher Porphyry. He tells us that the cave temple was meant to be the image of the cosmos. So when you walked into one of these places, you weren't just walking into a basement, you were literally walking into a mini universe. And you can see just how different this was from mainstream Roman religion. You know, a public temple was above ground, open to everyone. But a Mithraeum? Nope. It was underground, hidden, for initiates only. This wasn't a place you visited. It was a secret club you joined for a really personal, shared experience. So who exactly were these people hanging out in secret cosmic caves? Well, from what we can tell, it was a guys-only club, an exclusive brotherhood. It was crazy popular with Roman soldiers, which totally makes sense, right? A band of brothers far from home. But it wasn't just soldiers. We see merchants, government officials, even freedmen and slaves were part of this. And you didn't just, sign up. It was a whole progression. Members had to climb this ladder of 7 different ranks, starting as a raven and working their way all the way up to father, who's basically the leader of that specific group. And each step up the ladder came with new secrets and new responsibilities. And ironically, some of our best clues about their rituals come from people who hated them, like the Christian writer Tertullian. Get this. He describes an initiation where a new soldier is offered a crown on the tip of a sword. The initiate is supposed to push it away and say, "My crown is Mithras." I mean, how cool is that? It's this powerful act of total devotion. Okay, so let's circle back to the big problem. No texts. How do we put all these pieces, the art, the temples, the ranks, together? How do we crack this code? For like a century, the going theory was that this whole thing was imported from Persia. But the more scholars dug into it, the more they realized the puzzle pieces didn't fit. The evidence from Persia just wasn't there. So now, most experts think it was actually a brand new Roman invention that just kind of borrowed a cool, exotic-sounding Persian name to give it some street cred. And this is where the whole case takes a wild turn. A scholar named David Ulansey looked at that same old bull-slaying scene and asked a totally new question. What if it's not a story? What if it's a map? A map of the stars. His theory is that every figure in that carving is an astronomical code. The bull, that's the constellation Taurus. The dog, Canis Minor. The snake is Hydra. The scorpion is Scorpius. You get the idea. Every single suspect lines up perfectly with a constellation that used to sit on the celestial equator. So what does it all mean? Here's the bombshell. The killing of the bull represents a massive cosmic event, a scientific discovery known as the precession of the equinoxes. Basically, ancient astronomers figured out that the entire night sky was slowly shifting over centuries. The spring equinox was no longer happening in the constellation of Taurus the bull. The universe had moved. The secret of the cult was that Mithras was a being so powerful he could literally move the entire cosmos. And you really can't talk about Mithraism without bringing up its biggest rival, Christianity. The parallels are pretty striking. Both had a kind of ritual meal, both talked about salvation, heaven, and hell. In fact, they were so similar that early Christian writers were convinced it had to be a trick, a demonic imitation of their own faith, cooked up by the devil himself. But that leads to the final question, right? If this religion was so popular, so profound, why isn't it still around? Why did the trail go cold? You can see its whole life story here. It pops up in the 1st century, hits its peak in the 2nd and 3rd. I mean, it spread like wildfire. But then, just as fast, it starts to fade. By the late 3rd century, they're not really building new temples. By the 5th century, it's gone, vanished. And that's the truly weird part. I mean, other pagan gods like Isis, they stuck around in myths and stories for centuries. But Mithras, he was just forgotten. Totally erased from cultural memory. The secrets were kept so well that they died right along with the last believers. And so that's where we're left. We've got clues, we've got some really compelling theories, especially that incredible star map idea. But without hearing it from them, in their own words, can we ever really know for sure? The case of the Mithraic mysteries remains open. A pretty powerful reminder of just how easily a whole world of belief can be lost to time.